You're the only one working. Everybody else here is just, screwing around.
That's a cool story.
See you later. Bye.
Bye, Issa.
Bye, Issa.
So that's Tom.
Hey, how's it going?
Here, you can hold that one. That's Danny.
Hello.
McMahon.
Hi,
How are
Joe.
you? How are you, Danny?
I'm
McMahon?
good, thanks.
Yeah, you good? Just getting some levels here. Everything's good.
It's like karaoke, but talking.
It is. It is.
I'm going to be drinking and tinkering, so.
In that order?
Well, and tinkling and drinking.
I think I'm going to duct tape this to my head just so I can have my hands free. Can you help me out?
I have Gorilla Tape. It might take some of your face hair off.
You gotta.
As long as it's not Gorilla Glue.
I have that too.
Ugh. I heard dogs get into that shit.
You gotta get in. You gotta get that mic right up in your face.
Oh, sorry, buddy. Here I am.
These are a little bit different than what we're used to working with. So, and there's another gentleman in the room with us. Why don't you walk over and ask him who he is, Danny?
Oh, wait a second. I think I know. Are you the dude who rides like that Iditarod?
No, that's not him. This is another guy. We do have a guy who rides the Iditarod bike race.
I thought this might be the guy.
No, this is
because I've never met that guy. So
this is another guy. Well, this is another guy.
All right, who are you? You look actually vaguely familiar, but so who are you?
I'm Tony.
So who's Tony? How do you have the connection here?
You talk to him, man.
I guess I came in 2 weeks ago to get my bike tuned up because I'm heading to Scotland on Wednesday to, I guess, cycle around the world, hopefully.
Holy shit.
Yeah, man.
Very cool, man.
That's a real deal right there.
That is
just
super real deal.
Yeah, somebody just walked into the bike shop and he's like, I need a tune up and I need some extra spokes because I'm going to ride around the world. And I'm like, oh, hold on, I need to talk to you.
That is freaking cool.
Yeah.
Around the world, huh?
Yeah, that's the plan. It started, I guess, a lot smaller, but yeah, right now that's the plan.
Are you doing it solo?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Do you have it all mapped out, or are you going to kind of wing some of it, or?
As of now, I have probably the first 2 months planned out, and I'm just trying to keep it open because you don't really know who you're going to meet or where you're going to get into or what people are going to recommend to do. But yeah, I mean, essentially from Scotland to England right now, I have mapped out, and I'm just going to take it from there.
That's amazing.
Yeah, right?
I feel so lame now.
No, I mean, this should serve as hopefully as inspiration to people out there that there are people doing this stuff. I think we've talked about it on the show where I get people in that are interested in riding around the world and people who are thinking about it. But here's somebody who is on Wednesday he's off to do it, and we have his Kona sitting right there, and it's a bike.
Oh, is that the bike he's going to ride? Oh,
yep.
Cool.
Yep. So at some point tonight we'll get down and dirty with it and start putting that thing through its paces, or at least get it all.
Are you gonna load it up with a ton of bags or what?
Yeah, I got front rack and back rack with panniers and all that stuff, and camping stuff.
You must be psyched.
Well, the crazy thing is, March 30th of 2020, I had a flight to London to do this trip, and obviously with the pandemic, it shut it down. So it's been like it doesn't even seem real anymore at this point. It's just like something I've been, it just seems like a dream, and it still doesn't seem real, I don't think, until I leave.
Wow. So just prior to the pandemic, you were set to go and do this, huh?
Yeah. It was like every day the news was something new. Some borders were closing. I was like, I'm still going. More borders were closing. I'm like, I'm still going. And then all the flights got canceled and all the borders pretty much shut down.
Wow.
So it was, everyone went through a hard time, but it's like my dream got put on hold.
Yeah. I was in Spain that February, right before they shut everything down here. So I got home, a few days before the U.S. airports were closed down. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, things have changed a little bit in the last few years.
For sure.
Which is kind of interesting because you have that perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like go out and do this. I think your trip's going to be really different now, after everything that's happened. Yeah, I think it'll be a different experience.
I totally agree. And I mean, in between that time, I went into this idea. I came to me out of nowhere pretty much. I had no reason. I mean, prior to the idea, I rode a bike maybe 30 miles.
Wow. Really?
And I got into like running. I did like a half marathon, and then I'm like, oh, I think I can cycle from London to Singapore. Like that's just the stupid, like my stupid. It's like my ignorance.
Well, it's good. You know, sometimes when you don't know, it's better. You know.
Yeah. I mean, in between that time, I eventually rode coast to coast, the United States.
Oh, okay.
And then I went around Lake Michigan the year after that, and so I've done some.
So you've done some long distance.
Yeah. Now that I have, I mean, I'm into like ultra running and stuff, and it's like so I have that experience.
Like a David Goggins?
I mean, I like his message sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you're capable of doing so much more than you think you can. And
so you were into ultra, you were doing the ultra stuff before you were doing the cycling, or did this all happen in the last few years?
It just happened during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So you just jumped in, man.
It's like I needed to focus my energy into something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like until I was able to do this. But yeah, now I gained some more experience to like actually, I think, make it happen.
To know what you're doing. Yeah.
Going across the United States was I went in like, I think it was June 2020. And it was like, again, I maybe changed the tire once, and it was like, it was a good learning process.
Did you go east to west or vice versa?
East to west. Yeah. I just came up with that idea in 2 weeks. I was like, I got to do something. I rented a car and drove to the coast and made it happen.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. See, there's people out there doing this stuff, Danny.
Yeah, I just haven't actually ever met them.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go, man. Ask away.
Yeah.
We've got.
So you're going to do, so like UK start, and then are you going to like head it over to continental Europe and then go through Europe, or do you have another idea?
So as of now, I'll probably go the UK, then take a ferry over to France and kind of zigzag through Europe and Eastern Europe for the 3 months that like I guess I'm allowed in I think it's the Szechuan zone, I believe they call it. Mm-hmm. And then I plan on going across Turkey and probably ending in Tbilisi, Georgia. And from there, probably flying to Southeast Asia because of winter. And still right now, borders, I think it was July 2021, Tajikistan and the Kyrgyzstan border were like my intended route like closed. And so it's not possible to do it. And with the winter and the crazy mountain passes and the Premier Mountains and stuff, it's just probably not doable. So I'll fly to Southeast Asia, hopefully, and figure it out.
Awesome.
So if you've been watching a lot of YouTube, I assume you've been watching YouTube videos, like people doing some of this stuff, or just, I mean, like just to kind of prepare yourself a little bit, or how have you been gaining information about what you're doing?
A lot of it was blogs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read so many books about people that have done stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I guess I've watched definitely, I guess a little bit of YouTube videos, but yeah, mostly just reading through blogs and Reddit, just like the bicycle touring part of it is like a huge resource.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just kind of making it up as you go along and just figuring it out. It's like, you know, the internet, like everything's accessible and
yeah.
So you kind of said you're going to kind of play it by ear. Do you have a general like time frame? Like when do you think you'll kind of be back full circle? Or
it started off, you know, again, just going to like Singapore originally, and with this, I don't know. It depends on when the money runs out, if I have to come back to work some more, and but I, you know, honestly, it would probably take over. What I want to do is like 4 years, probably or more.
oh wow.
And again, I don't know if it's going to be continuous, obviously, because financial, but
Yeah, because a lot of people, I mean, a lot. I've seen some folks, they kind of do it almost as quickly as possible. Like they're not trying to break records, but they want to kind of get it done in a year. I don't know. It seems like some people do it relatively quickly, but you're going to take like a slower route. Are you going to like stop and kind of like dig deep into areas you're in and maybe even work a little bit or something like that?
I mean, I haven't. I guess to answer your question, I want to go slow, and going across the United States, I just was kind of on a mission and just went fast. I did it in 41 days, which is like kind of fast.
That's good.
For I guess not even being experienced, but yeah, just like my plan is to go slow, and like if I want to see something or I, you know, like meet people or just if I find something interesting, just like take it.
Fall in love, join a cult. We'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, hopefully all those things.
Tom's joined us now for the conversation. This is our mechanic, Tom, here at the Bicycle Shop. How are you, Tom?
I'm well, thank you.
Any questions for Tony?
No, I mean, how ready are you to go? You're pretty ready to go with the flow of whatever you find when you're over there, right? I mean, because things on a trip like this can just take on a life of their own. You could find yourself living on a yacht.
Yeah, I mean, I would like that actually.
Or a yurt.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be in Georgia. Are you looking for anything adventurous in terms of wine or nightclubs or food or anything? Do you have any extraneous goals?
Isn't Georgia supposedly where wine was like invented?
It is, and they have a rich tradition of wine in Georgia. They sure do.
So yeah, I'll definitely have to try that.
Are you a wine guy, beer guy, or something else?
These days, not much. But back in my day, when I was getting a little crazy, it was definitely beer and shots. Or whatever, honestly. I would drink wine, but I had no idea what it was. And
well, when in Rome, you'll drink wine when there's wine. Because I'm sure that people will present it.
Oh, yeah, for
You're
sure.
a traveler. People like presenting travelers the things that they love.
Yeah, and I think that's why, that's why I love traveling is those, I've done a little bit of traveling throughout like Southeast Asia. I've only been, and Spain is my other spot in Europe that I've been to. But yeah, I mean, that's the best part is like I was going in some weird places in northern Thailand and people don't speak English and I don't speak Thai and they just like hand you food and they almost like they're laughing at you while they're handing you to try it and you're like, should I try this? And like you eat it and then they're still laughing and you just like smile and you're like, all right, this is amazing, but I don't know if I'm being set up here, but it always works out and it's always for the best. And yeah, it's the best part about traveling.
Awesome, man. So we have a couple of things going on here. Danny, we brought him down under the pretense of building his brand new bike. Well, that was part of the deal.
I thought it was an intervention or something. It was getting kind of weird there.
No.
I'm like, what do I need to give up? Don't make me stop cycling, Joe.
Part of it is to build your new bike, and then Tony's getting ready to split. So the plan was to tune up a bike and then to build a bike, some food or
no pressure if you got to go.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I probably do have to go because I am borrowing. I don't have a car.
Oh,
this
gotcha.
is someone else's car. I have to eventually bring back to them.
Danny,
we can knock out his bike. Yeah.
Okay, we can knock. Yeah, because
I'm in no hurry.
Okay, perfect.
I got girlfriend gave me
awesome
freedom for the evening. So.
We'll order some pizzas. You down with some pizza?
I eat a strict diet. I'm sorry.
Do you really?
Dude, look how ripped he is.
I'm surrounded by strict diet people. That's all right. It's all right.
No, they're strict and they're strict.
No.
He's pretty ripped. He's ready to go around the world.
No, it's good.
I told you this morning. I usually go to bed at like 7.
Yeah, I know, man. This is it. This is the start of your travels. This is what's going to happen when you get out and about.
Yeah, and I think as the mechanic on call for the evening, tune up first because tune-ups can get unexpected complications coming up, and I want to knock that out first. So yes, let's do it.
Plus building the bike, like it's a thing. We'll take our time with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
It could be a little fussy, like the weird headset and all that kind of jazz, but we'll see.
Whatever's clever. So let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So I'm sorry, is this the exact bike you rode across the U.S.? Yeah. Okay.
So it's a Kona. What's the Kona Sutra?
Ah, see what they did there?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a nice teal frame. It's got the Brooks saddle, which is giving it a classy look. You broke that saddle in, I take it, because I hear they're little. It's kind of a thing. You break them in.
It looks like a steel frame, right? That looks like steel from here.
Steel's the way to go around the world, I would guess. Are you going to ride those flat pedals, or do you have a different system, or what?
I think I might get something new right before I leave, but I don't know anything about bikes, if I'm being honest. I just kind of like get used to I'm used to just being uncomfortable constantly, which is not, I don't think, good. Like if you saw the shoes that I'm wearing. Yeah, no, I got these kind of like sporty, hikey shoes that I've been wearing and like riding with them, and they seem to work out.
And worst case scenario, you can always get something.
Exactly.
I mean, you're going to be in Europe for quite a while, and that's the capital of bike riding. Probably safe to say.
That's what I have to keep telling myself. Like, I'm good for the first couple of months. Like,
well, what's cool about that too is like it's going to be in some ways relatively easy in terms of like the rest of the trip. So like you can get in your groove. Get the bike all dialed in, all your stuff. I mean, you've kind of done it before, so I shouldn't even be telling you anything. But,
no,
but that sounds like a good way to go.
No, I agree. That's why I even chose to start in Edinburgh because it's like it gives me like 2 weeks to like speak the language, get comfortable. If anything's wrong, it's like it's easing my way into it, and it's like I found for any long-term trips I've done in the past with anything, it's like it takes about 2 weeks, and then you get in that groove, and it's like this is my life.
Sounds super exciting, man. It's great. Is your mom concerned?
Oh yeah, she's freaked out. Yeah, I mean, but I played in bands my whole life. I was touring when I was like 16.
Oh, cool.
And, like I had an older brother that was in the band, so it's like she's
wow.
seen me do like I mean, everything I've done for like my whole life scared the shit out of her.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you'd spent some time in Spain. Where'd you go to in Spain?
I went to Barcelona. I was only there for 3 weeks. I did like a week in Barcelona, a week in Valencia. I think that's how you say it. And a week in Madrid.
Those are good places you hit. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time there, so I'm pretty familiar with the country. And yeah, no, those are good places. Yeah. What were you doing there?
Just walking around, seeing what's
No, not bike related stuff.
No. Just going, visiting. It's beautiful. I mean, I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, I was not on this trip though. I'd be out of the way.
No, but eventually, I probably maybe before Africa, which is like the final level of the video game.
Awesome, man. That's
you gonna do all
cool.
of Africa?
That would be.
That's amazing.
Plan.
North, south, or vice versa?
Probably north to south.
Okay.
And it's depending on what conflicts are happening at that moment. It's really hard to tell.
Of course,
which side to go on and stuff. But.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Joe, is this the first time you've worked on someone's bike before they embark on a literal world tour? It's got to be.
No,
it's not yours?
No, I've worked on people's.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we've worked on a few people's bikes over the years. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, so there's people. I don't know if they've completed their tours, but certainly with the intention of
they might still be out there
riding around the world or Paris, Brest, Paris. You know, like we've been fortunate to meet people that are doing some crazy stuff on bicycles. You know, but it's been a while. You know, it's the first time, certainly the first time here at the shop. So yeah.
Well, it's funny, like the more I like look into this kind of lifestyle or travel style, it's like so many people, to me, it seems like so many people have done this, and like, but to like an outsider, everyone's always like, what? Like, how can you do that? I mean, when I first I found this guy's blog, and he was going from London to Singapore, and I was like, how is that even possible? Like, that's where like my inspiration came from. This one random guy that I stumbled upon his blog. I'm like, no one's ever done this before. And then like the more I looked into it, it's like actually like a lot of people do this like constantly, and it's like I think it's awesome. It's amazing.
I've lived a little vicariously, as Joe was alluding to earlier, looking on YouTube at people doing world tours on their bikes, and it's just so romantic, you know. There's just a lot of footage I just happen to remember of like guys riding their bikes just like through Asia. Just absolutely beautiful and very meditative too. Like obviously you're spending a lot of time just pedaling alone and all that. So plenty of time to think and ruminate, you know,
you find things, you find out about a lot of things you don't like about yourself.
Sure.
It's like,
the good, the bad, everything. Right.
Yeah. And sometimes some people do it justice, but some of those videos like give the wrong impression of it sometimes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's just the best thing ever. And it's like 99% of it's like the worst thing ever. You're like, where am I going to eat? How am I going to find water?
It's funny you said that.
Where am I going to sleep?
Yeah. Cause one of them, I remember, I have to give the guy credit. Like he was kind of keeping it real. He wasn't just like, you know, doing like a post-production, making it glossy, like this and that. Like it was almost boring, like, but it was like real. And so like, I don't think I watched the whole thing, but it was a lot of just like this dude like pedaling and just being out there doing his thing. And, but yeah, like you were saying, a lot of, you know, the reality of a lot of it, I mean, I can only imagine is just a lot of solo time trying to make sure you're safe and you get your, you got your water, your nutrition and all that kind of good stuff. So what's your level of stoke right now? 1 out of 10?
I mean, I don't even think there's a number for it. It's like I said, it's been, I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm going to rearrange a few things here. Just going to bring Tony in a little closer, get him a stool so he can sit down. We can move over closer to Tom and and we also have a tire. What kind of tire you got there, Tony? It looks like a Schwalbe.
Oh, that's a good brand.
Nice.
Good brand for it.
Yeah, he's gonna match his tires to. Yeah, and sit down anywhere you want, man.
Now, are you? I hate to be a nerd, but are you gonna like use Strava? Are you gonna record your rides? Like, are you kind of like a data head? Like, or are you just kind of like just gonna wing it or what?
I'll try to post everything on Strava. I like keeping track of it, and it was fun for like going across the U.S. like for some friends to just like keep track of what I'm doing and where I'm at and stuff. I actually created a website that I will hopefully be adding to every week and just writing and stuff like that.
Joe, we got to figure out get all the info.
Yeah, I
we'll
brought you guys
post all
I've
that stuff.
made some small stickers.
Oh, awesome, man.
On there.
Oh, cool.
And I just hope to. And I also, it's like a project I want to create is. I'm fascinated by people that travel, and it's like if I want to interview and start like a section on my blog with just interviewing people that have things to say and why they're doing what they're doing, kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah, it's really it's cool. I mean, that's kind of what we started doing here. You know, just chronicling people's stories, people on bikes. You know, I think that, we started Bike Shop Society because it was that was it. It's the stories that we hear at bike shops all the time. Like something like this, where someone's going off to do something crazy on a bicycle, or where the bicycle has taken them, and you fit the spirit of what we're trying to do.
For
so
sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So one question, I don't want to get too in the weeds, but like in terms of like the routes, it sounds like there really isn't a specific route, but like after, especially when you leave like UK and like Western France, where things get a little more real, a little more gnarly and more interesting. Like, have you like in your deep like Reddit dives and all that kind of stuff, like are there like typical, let's say you're in Georgia or Kazakhstan or wherever you're going, are there kind of like pretty well established like routes that cyclists doing what you're going to do, like that they kind of take or suggest, or are you actually going to look to do something a little different? I'm just kind of curious, like the method to the madness.
Yeah, well, again, for the beginning in the UK, it's pretty like established routes that people are doing, and for once I get further out east, I know there are like for going through some of the stands, there's like the Premier Highway, they call it. Like that's an established route that I was planning on taking, but I won't be. But I'm not sure about Georgia, honestly. I haven't. I mean, again, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
It's like I do know, or something I do plan on doing is going out of my comfort zone and trying to get into more remote and like mountainous regions, because I do find climbing through the mountains and that stuff is fun for me. And
are you going to be primarily like camping? You can bring camping gear, I assume.
Yeah.
Some sort, some basic like something to like clean water and just all that good stuff.
Yeah, I have all that, purifier, stove, and obviously in the big cities I'll stay in hostels, or there's a resource called Warm Showers. I don't know if you've heard of.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I like actually staying in hostels too, because you get to meet people from around the world.
Yeah,
just like
I've done my share in hostels. I really always found them interesting.
Yeah,
you meet a ton of cool people.
Yeah, and but yeah, again, the routes. I don't want to be set on anything, because it's some of that stuff's like a couple months away, and it's like something's bound to change. And again, the first 2 months, I have a rough idea, but from there, just wing it.
Nice.
Figure it out.
Tom, how's that tune-up coming along? Looks like you've already ripped the tape off the handlebars.
Well, we have to replace the hoods on the brake levers, because they were pretty well worn through.
It's because he rode across the country with this.
Well, funny
bike.
that things wear out. So I ripped off the tape, and now I'm pulling the brake lever off. So I have to disconnect everything to get it off. I think it'll be easier to put the new grip back on with the brake lever off. Some of them you can leave on the bar and just slide the rubber over, but it doesn't feel like it's going, so I'm not going to try and force it, because we don't have a second pair in case this one tears.
Yep.
So
I'm with you.
that's where we're at.
It's looking good. It's looking great.
Well, I haven't done much.
Well, I'm just saying what you've done so far looks great. Tough crowd. Another nerdy question. You've been tinkering with it. This is called support.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm your cheerleader, man.
Yeah.
I don't recognize that. Not from a family that's very supportive.
Oh, okay.
Very cool.
That'll be episode 2.
Yeah. We'll break
Other
this up.
nerdy question. because I've done just a tiny bit of traveling. So, and actually, it's when I've met people on my travels who've done even cooler traveling who've told me about this. But like, do you have to do a lot in terms of like get like visas to enter certain countries and all that kind of jazz, or is that something again you're going to kind of see what happens later?
In the Europe, yeah, I won't have to until I get into Turkey to apply for a visa, and then I'll apply for that probably like a month before I get there. And I think you can still actually do a visa on arrival there. And then, so for the first couple months, I'm good, but I definitely will later on in the trip have to. But I guess another thing people should think about is bank accounts and international fees, which is like, that just made me think of that when you said like visas, and that's just like finding a good bank account that doesn't charge you so much money to take out your money.
Yeah, because you get really hammered on those like
Charles Schwab is the way to go. They have a debit card. They have a debit card that charges no international fees.
No fees, man. That's
it's just a fun fact for anyone.
Oh, that's cool that you knew that, because my wife is all over the no fee account and TransferWise and some of those different services that for people that are traveling. Well, you need to be able to get money for in case something happens here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those are all the logistics of doing this thing now. Although, being able to travel with basically a supercomputer in your back pocket now, it's just a game changer now, right?
It's unfortunate, I was talking about it with a friend the other day. It's like you wish you can go back and like travel when there was no the technology, and it's like, but it's just the world we live in, and it's like I guess you have to kind of take advantage of it, and it's use it as a tool and don't rely on it.
You'd be a fool not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have another critical question. Are you going to be wearing bike shorts with a chamois, or just going a little more au naturel?
I usually go all natural, but I do have them with me just in case. Because sometimes you look like you walk into a gas station, and people are like, "What is this guy doing? Why is he all dirty? Why is he wearing tights?" And you're just like, "Dude, I'm sorry, thirsty."
Yeah,
but I do have them, and I probably will wear them in certain spots.
Sometimes I've done it myself, where I'll have like the actual bike shorts on, the chamois, the tight spandex, but I'll wear like just like some mountain bike shorts over or something, or just cutoffs or whatever. So I mean, sometimes that works for me, because I don't know if you've done the ultra more than I have for sure, but I would imagine, at least for me, like I always feel like some people are a little more sensitive to riding a lot. Like I think I would probably need to make sure I've got like chamois cream and the whole chamois action going and staying very clean and all that. I think some people fare a little bit better without that stuff, but
yeah, I got some pretty gnarly saddle sores when I was going across the U.S. where it's like you can't sit down.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a real thing, and you really got to keep your stuff really clean. I'm probably a big fan of wet wipes at this point, and just like keeping like super clean. And I am a big fan of chamois cream. I use D's Nuts, which is Dave Zabrisky's brand, which is my favorite by far. But there's other good ones out there too. But anyway, just thinking out loud.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to get everything covered, but anything and everything's going to go wrong, and that's part of the fun.
For sure. And then, are you riding inner tubes here? It looks like, or you got tubeless, or what do you got going on?
Yeah, there's inner tubes in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, I'm so clueless on, I'm just clueless on a lot of stuff, but I'll figure it out as I go. I know how to change some things out, and whatever happens, I'll fix it. Or I can walk for a long time.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. And I have spare tubes, obviously, and patch kits and all that. I got plagued in, I think it was like New Mexico, maybe, if there's little like shards from like, I think when the tires have blows out, I was getting like flats like constantly. I made it all the way to New Mexico from Virginia with not one flat. And then I got to New Mexico and it was just like flats galore.
Shit.
But it's part of it.
I think tubes are probably a better option overall.
Oh, I agree.
Just because they're more universal. They've been around longer.
Yeah.
You're more likely to find them on the road. You show up in the middle of nowhere with a tire filled with pink fluid. People are going to get weirded out by it.
hey, what's this guy oozing? Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Again, I haven't done all this crazy long distance stuff, but I think at this point in world history, you could probably find an inner tube and a tire pretty much anywhere. And obviously, a lot of countries are going to hit are super big into cycling.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, tubeless can be a pain in the ass, like right here in Willow Springs.
Yes, as we talked about.
We had 2 or 3 today, and so being on a world tour with a tubeless setup is probably not a wise idea.
I think tubes is definitely a really good way to go. And they're just, I mean, they're super basic and easy. Like if you learn to fix a flat, like you can kind of do it in your sleep. So.
Yeah, I've definitely became a pro at that. Like I said, in New Mexico, you're changing a flat 3 times a day.
We went live, and people are asking if we're going to be building your bike, Danny, and eventually we'll be building your bike. But right now we're talking to Tony. Tony is embarking on a world tour.
Literally.
Yeah, like he's going to go around the world on his bicycle, and
And that's the bike.
That's the bike, and we're tuning his bike, and getting it ready for a big ride, the ultimate of rides. And Tony's just as somebody who stumbled into the bike shop one day, and I cornered him. I cornered him into doing a podcast.
I was going to say there was this guy standing at the counter for quite a while. I was like, "What's he waiting for?"
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "I'm not really sure."
I have no shame, man.
Of course, I should have known. Joe was in the background.
Always
The
looking for content. No, and
little did you know you would be content when you walked in.
Interesting stories. I prepped him for this. I asked him. He knew what he was getting himself into. He didn't just stumble in here. But
I'm down.
Yeah, man. All right, I'm going to cut the live thing off, but we can continue.
Thanks
with
for
the
tuning
podcast. Yeah. Say goodbye, Danny.
Bye. See you later. Have any friends or family threatened to meet you on your journey and say, "Hey, let's hook up in Singapore" or anything like that?
I'm trying to convince my mom. She hasn't gone to too many places, so I'm trying to I would like a dream of mine to have that experience with her, to meet me somewhere, and just be able to hang out somewhere for a few days would be amazing. So
Paris or
Prague
or
somewhere, but I think anywhere. She's scared to go. I mean, she did just go on an Alaskan cruise, which was like a huge adventure for her.
Legit.
Yeah, so she's stepping a little bit out of her comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I have some friends that, everyone, like, a lot of people talk. Let's just leave it like that.
I
Like, yeah, for sure. That'd be awesome. But then when time comes, like, everyone's got excuses, Even to go on a bike ride, here, people have excuses. So
100%. I was just going to say from my own personal experience, I was in the Peace Corps. I lived abroad for a handful of years, and everyone's like, "We're to come visit you." And then you're like 6 months in, year in, 2 years in. Hey, yeah. Where's that trip?
Yeah.
Are you coming? And to be fair, I had a couple friends and 1 or 2 siblings. I come from a big family who did come out to visit, which was awesome. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. A lot of people are like, yeah. It's kind of like that moving day. It's like, can you help me move? Oh yeah, sure. Let me know. The day comes. Oh, you know what? The cat's really sick.
Yeah, I mean it's easy to talk about. Traveling is hard though. It's like I think for some people, for people who don't travel, it's a hard thing. I mean, Danny, you're used to traveling.
Yeah,
I mean,
I should.
you have no
I try
problem,
not to take it for granted, but I think it's fair. I think
it was. If
it's
it was,
psychological for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Like it's these days, traveling has never been cheaper. It's never been easier. It's never been faster. All the superlatives, but I think it's still very psychological. Like I know some people who. They're fine never leaving the U.S. and if that's your jam, like, hey, good for you. But for me, I'm just
they're just not comfortable being out of their comfort zone, and being in a place where they don't speak the language and have eating weird foods for them. Like what am I going to eat? You don't have hot dogs and.
I never understood that.
I know. I mean, me neither.
I have that problem of thinking that everyone thinks. The way I think is awesome, and when they don't, you're like, why would you not want to go? And do that? And it's it's very confusing for me. I still don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate to start traveling when I was really young, and moved to Spain when I was young, and it's just something I kind of took for granted through my 20s. I just assumed everybody did it, but as I've gotten older, and you just met more people, and I realized, whoa, this is not something that everybody just does,
Yeah.
you know, and that it's really hard to get people, especially as they get older, you know, to like, unless they have something really horrible happen in their lives where they're just ready to do a lot of crazy things.
Yeah.
Like it gets harder and harder to get them to like leave home and, you know, like want to do any of this stuff, you know, that sense of adventure, they kind of lose it, you know, if they ever had it, you know,
That's
like some people don't have it. Some people don't want to, they don't want to know.
they don't. And I don't. Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah.
They like their bed. They like their
Mhm.
Tostino pizza rolls.
Yeah.
They like their local gas station.
Mm-hmm.
They like America. And they like freedom.
Yes,
And
they do. We have it all here. You know, we don't need to go anywhere. It's Chinatown right here in Chicago, right?
There you
We go to
go.
Little India, in Devon.
We were just talking about eating Ethiopian food and Vietnamese.
Yeah, we
Would
got it
you eat
all
with
right
your
down.
hands?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds awesome to me. Like I'm stoked. I actually
We don't have to even leave the city.
That's right. I've actually fantasized about riding my bike around the world, but just total fantasy. And I'm really stoked for you that you're doing this, and a little jealous, I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think just doing anything is good for, just, yeah, I don't know.
Well, we want to encourage more people to do it
For sure.
and just like go off and like, you know, and I mean, I guess I'm more on through the shop here, like especially these days, I'm more on a mission to do that, like to just get people to start traveling on their bike and doing that kind of. The pandemic had a lot of new people riding bicycles, you know, and a lot of younger, you know, like younger people. The sport was definitely on a decline, you know, as like there weren't a lot of new people coming into the sport, and the old timers that, you know, that were riding in the 70s, they were dying off or just not able to ride. You know, I can tell you, you know, off the top of my head, 5 or 6 guys who were customers of mine 10 years ago who can't ride a bike anymore because they have like balance issues or dementia, or, you know, they just kind of aged out of the sport. And with this recent new wave of people discovering the sport or rediscovering, so like older people too, like people in their 50s who just kind of came back to the sport, like I've met people here in the shop who are ready to take the next step, who are like, oh, I want to try touring, you know, I want to, what's this thing that they call Race Across America, or, you know, Paris-Brest Paris, like all these things that I grew up in the bike shop prepping people for, like people are just catching on to all of that stuff, you know, or even the fact that they can build a bike from scratch.
Yeah.
Like they had no idea they could buy a frame and build a bike from. So like that's been exciting because it's, you know, it's brought back my interest in like excitement around the bicycle shop, you know, like that we're able to do things that we grew up doing. And it just feels like for the last 20 years, we've been kind of headed in the wrong direction and selling these bikes out of boxes and kind of like just very generic cookie cutter stuff. And now there's people interested in these things that we can do, you know, like building wheels, you know.
Yeah.
Tom here was working on your bikes like a master wheel builder, you know, and there's not a lot of those guys left in the bike business.
Yeah.
And now people are interested in like, oh, I'd like to get a set of wheels built. You know, like, oh, I got the guy who's been doing it, you know, for his entire life here, right, you know, right behind me. Let's see what we can do for you. And so being able to practice, 42 years. Don't age yourself, man.
2 years ago, I built my first wheel.
Really?
Wow.
42 years ago. That's
It's a vocation.
But yeah, we've done. I did a lot of wheels for recumbent riders too, because they were riding weird wheel sizes. Sometimes, you know, little 16-inch wheels, but a lot of these recumbent riders were like 350 pounds, so you know they needed custom wheels.
Yeah.
And I built wheels for the UIC Flame, which was a solar-powered vehicle. That was back in the 90s.
what?
Yeah.
All right, we need to start Googling some
They
of
had
that.
engineers who would build the hubs, and then they would come to me and be like, "We don't know how to build wheels." So threw them
Sweet.
together for them. I mean, they had, you know, disc wheels for when they were actually competing,
Mhm.
because it was a distance race, I think, you know, how far they could go or whatever. But they needed practice wheels for everyday use. So, and I've done wheelchair wheels as well. So
Very cool. That's a lot of wheels, man.
Whatever. Yeah, I'll build anything with spokes.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been taking in a lot of work just in the short time that Tom has been here. We've chronicled Tom's return to the bike shop on the podcast quite a bit. Like, you've been a subject of many, conversation and on our podcast. Danny would ask me a lot. It's like, how's it going? You have you got him yet? Have you been able?
I have to admit, I
you
called
caught
you
him?
Tim a couple times. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. I got it down now.
That's okay. Our friend yesterday who picked up the three-wheeler kept calling me Patrick.
You look like a Patrick.
I mean, I'll take it. I've got some Irish ancestry. I'll be
Yeah,
Patrick.
you look like a Patrick.
He's a
Yeah.
saint.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I had to talk him into getting back into the bike business. He was kind of out of the bike business for a little bit, but it's something he's been doing his whole life. He's really, really good at it, and so, but just it took a little convincing to get him back behind a stand, doing the thing that I think it's like the thing he probably does best in the world.
You can ride with confidence as you set out
Yeah.
to go around the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people are called to do things, Sometimes they're not the most lucrative things in the world, but
I'll say.
yeah. Well, yeah, I mean the bike, yeah, exactly. But Tom, it's very rewarding. I do.
It is rewarding.
It's we were working on that dude's bike yesterday. We were working on this recumbent trike bike, like electric recumbent trike, for someone who had a stroke, and he was out. We did a lot of work on the bike, but watching him strap in, we had the bike ready, and watching him just everything he had to go through to get into this bicycle, like strap himself in and Velcro himself in, and he didn't have use of the left side of his body, so he had to lift his leg in and lock himself into the pedals just to do that, and then head out into traffic.
Yeah, that was really something, just to see him go from the amount of prep it took was remarkable. But then as soon as he was done with all the prep, he's mobile.
Yeah.
And he's just off.
Yeah.
And, we changed his tires, we converted it to tubeless, we changed his brakes, we adjusted his drivetrain, and, he was just he was so into it, and he was free. Because, when you're disabled like that, you lose a lot of your freedom. You get back on a bike, guess what? You have it back.
Yeah, he was off. It was and it was rush hour traffic. So it was just 5 o'clock, Archer Avenue, which is bumper to bumper out there. And it was just, he had to wait 4 or 5 minutes just to merge into traffic. Yeah. But there he went, man. And it was whoa,
It's inspirational, really.
It was.
That's
It
very
was.
cool. Yeah.
It was. And it was a reminder of wow, this stuff that we do in the shop, it's and you, man, I mean, honestly, this is an inspirational thing. It's it's a reminder of what you're capable of doing on these things that we work on in the shop all day long. I don't know, we replace hoods all the time on people's bikes, and some people don't go any farther than Romeoville. They only make it 10 or 15 miles away from here at max ever. But, this thing is going to be going, this thing is off and about, and, hopefully you take a little of our spirit with you. I like to think that, we get to travel with, this thing, you take a little bit of us on that ride with you, so.
Well, and without you guys and other people before, it's I wouldn't be able to go and do these things.
Yeah.
When I walked into the bike shop where I bought the bike, it's I told them, I don't know anything, but this is what I'm trying to do. And I feel like they led me in a good direction.
Well,
and
absolutely.
I enjoy it in a, it's stuff like that. It's
Where did you get this bike?
I was living in the city, so I went to Comrade.
That's
Bicycles.
a good shop.
Yeah, they've always been awesome to me.
Yeah.
Every time I went in there, some shops you go into, you
No,
kind of
no.
get vibed or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were just, again, I just was I'm
Awesome.
an idiot. I don't know anything, and they were so helpful, and they're always helpful.
Yeah,
A lot
that's
of people like them.
yeah. They're a good shop. They're a good shop down in the city. I think they're kind of kindred spirits in a way. They're younger. I think they're younger guys than we are, but they're from the people that I know that have gone through there, seems like they're doing everything right. I think Tom and I are the kind of bike shop guys that don't really hang around other bike shops, right? Oh, would you say that, Tom?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's bike shop people that hang out at like to just on their day off go to other bike shops.
You know, like our friend Earl.
Yeah, like one of the Earl, another one of the mechanics that works here. He just stumbles into random people's bike shops. But
He needs attention. You know, when we're done with the day, we're just spent.
Yeah.
You know,
Because, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to speak for Joe, but I think by the time we're done with our workday, we've given everything we've got to this thing. And you just kind of want to like sit back and watch some TV and maybe have a beer and just be like, ah.
yeah, I mean, it also helps that we've worked at really good bike shops, so there was like nothing really to see at a lot of other bike shops, and we always had really cool stuff laying around, so we didn't feel the need to go somewhere. We were always like at the bike shop's bike shop. It's kind of like the musician's musician. So
Bartender's bar.
yeah, the bartender's bar. I mean, that's kind of a goal for us to be the bike shop's bike shop.
Yeah, because we worked at Cycle Smithy, and it's where people would send their customers when they couldn't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, well, that is too much for. Well, you take that to Cycle Smithy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're
Last resort.
well,
yeah that or
stop until it was fixed.
we're crazy enough to take it on. So and also you'd have a lot of bike shop people hanging around the bike shop. Like they would. It was really common to have people from other bike shops come through and hang out at our shop, but we didn't. The eagle did not chase the fly, right? Or hunt the fly, or isn't that what they say?
I haven't heard that one. I like it though.
The eagle does not hunt the fly.
So can I switch gears real quick?
Uh-huh. Oh, switching gears. I
Yeah,
like
you
that.
see what I did there?
Man, that is
I'm such a hack.
yeah.
So you mentioned nutrition earlier because we said we're going to grab a couple of pizzas, and you were like, I got a pretty hardcore diet. Or I'm curious what that is, and how will you be successful keeping with that as you go around the world?
I won't be successful in it when I'm on my job. It's just impossible. I will try to like make the best decisions possible, but I know, the options, depending where I'm at, it just, you kind of have to take what you can get.
And when you say your diet is strict, what do you mean by strict?
I pretty much eat the same thing every day.
Which is?
Pretty clean. In the morning, I usually work out, and then I do like a smoothie, just a fruit and protein powder. And then just a lot of jasmine rice, vegetables, and chicken breast.
Okay.
For lunch and for dinner.
Oh, cool.
And then I eat like an unhealthy amount of frozen mango for dessert every night.
Nice.
It's the best. I never just ate frozen mango as a snack. It's so good.
Yeah, it's very good.
You got to go to Costco.
Yeah.
It's like $10 for like a 5-pound bag. It's the best.
Nice.
Good
tip.
I think I just saw a fact that mango is like the most popular fruit in the world, and
Is it
it's the
really?
official fruit of like 3 countries.
It's because they're an aphrodisiac.
There you go.
Wow.
I prefer oysters for that, but yeah,
Really?
close enough. So you're not like vegan or vegetarian or anything in particular. You just like to eat really clean and stick to that. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm sure you'll have some really interesting fried foods the more you go into Eastern Europe, where I lived for a while. I was in Czech Republic for 4 years and got around a little bit there. I did a little bit of biking there, but nothing big. I lived in France for a couple of years too, and I did some biking there, but it was pretty much just, it wasn't like long distance stuff. But just super, super amazing. But yeah, Czech Republic was definitely interesting. I do remember, like, I like food, so I didn't have any issues, but I do remember one time a girlfriend at the time came to visit me, and she was a vegetarian, and we went to I took her to the local pub. They're a big pub culture, and they often serve dinner and whatnot. So I remember the menu. I was trying to translate it for her, and it didn't say vegetarian. The way they described that section of the menu said food without meat.
Oh.
Is how they described it, which is, I'm like, wow, that's a really food-oriented or meat-oriented culture. And they had 2 things. One was like a tomato and like onion salad, and it's interesting. And then the other thing, they do this thing called fried cheese. It's basically just a square of cheese, and it's breaded, and it's super good. It's like great food if you're like drinking or something. But it had a thin layer of ham in it. And I remember it was on the vegetarian side. And I remember asking my Czech wasn't very good at that time, but I was trying to communicate with the waiter, and I'm like, so it has meat in it. He's like, oh, but it's just so little, it's like, it's fine. I'm like, no, she's not going to eat this.
I love that when they do stuff like that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so, it was
To us, it's vegetarian.
What's that?
I said to us, it's vegetarian.
Yeah, right. For Chicagoan, it's like,
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. Doesn't really count.
But no, I cooked actually like professionally for like 8 years. So like I love food and like I definitely want to try everything is from, especially in major cities.
That's amazing.
Have you always lived in Chicago or Chicago area or?
I grew up in the southwest suburbs.
Okay.
And then the city was the closest thing when I was a young, angry teenager. So I moved to the city with some friends when I was 18 and
Nice.
I pretty much lived there for most of my life. I lived in Portland, Oregon for a tiny bit and Los Angeles for a tiny bit, but always came back to Chicago.
Where did you live in the city?
All over, honestly, all over. Mostly, I guess, a little bit northwest, but yeah, my last apartment was in Humboldt Park.
Okay.
Before that was the West Town, and
Where my last apartment.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where Tom
I'm in
lived.
Logan Square.
Mhm.
Okay, nice.
So what suburb are you from?
Homer Glen.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. So my parents lived in Homer Glen for a number of years, and I spent time visiting them there a lot by all the golf courses and stuff.
Okay.
But that's cool. What a small world.
Yeah. You ever go to the Purple Onion?
Oh my God, that's so funny you asked. So
It closed.
it closed. Oh God, I didn't know that. So it's their local like Greek restaurant, like a Les Brothers.
Okay.
So my mom loved that place, of course, and so we'd go and then she'd get the special, the soup and the salad, and it had a little corner where they had the little gambling slot things, and she liked those. Like, Mom, okay, you're only gonna play these for 10 minutes, and we gotta go. But yeah, Purple Onion, that's an institution. Sorry to hear it's closed. Oh well.
Just how it goes.
Yeah. Well, Joe and I used to ride basically out there.
Yeah.
He got me into road cycling. A few decades back. So we used to go out to Lamont and just all those. Yeah. I mean, I know we went through Homer Glen probably.
Yeah. I mean,
times.
it used to get really rural just south of Lamont. I mean, as soon as you got past, like, you got out of downtown Lamont heading south on State, you'd start running into gravel roads and stuff out there and you get, chased by farm dogs, So, I mean, you'd have to pick up your, water or a Coke or whatever it was in Lamont. Otherwise, there wasn't anything for a long time, once you got south of there. But once they put in that 355, that whole Homer Glen area just blew up. I mean, there was a reason to live out there. There was, easy way to get out there.
Remember life before 355?
Oh, yeah.
It was such a different world.
No, it was completely different.
It's totally different.
And I remember when I opened the shop here, there was like a group of friends that was hanging out, and I'm like, let's go for a ride. I'm going to show you these great country roads. And then I completely forgot about all of that stuff going on over there. And we got south, and it just got even more traffic. There was even more traffic as we headed south out of Lamont, and they're like, where are you bringing us? So, yeah, but it used to be pretty, you were in farm country by the time you got south of Lamont. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Well, a minute ago, I caught myself saying it's a small world, but we'll see. We'll see what your report is when you get back.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, there's a way to track you when you're.
Do you have like an Instagram, or are you going to kind of do that, or what's your jam?
Yeah, I created a website, and there will be an Instagram connected to it. It's created. I just haven't posted anything on it yet.
No, cool. Well, I mean, I'll totally follow, and we'll keep track. And when we say we mean it, we'll follow.
Do you want to say it now? I mean, I won't post this for another week or so, but it doesn't. People can look it up.
The website's ghostlycalm.com.
Oh,
and
nice.
And then the Instagram's just ghostly calm, like as in one word.
Okay.
Wait, like ghostly, calm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I read a book, like this one book a couple months ago, and and one of the sentences, it's just like those words together, and I just thought it was awesome.
It wasn't written by an AI bot, was it?
No, I'm like, this has to be a band name. For some of my mind, it's like this is like sounds like it could be a band. I don't know
Ghostly
why.
Calm,
It just sounded cool, and I like wrote it in my note, and then I was like trying to think of something. I'm like, Ghostly.
Yeah. Then you go to GoDaddy and buy it. Buy the domain.
It's kind of it's kind of poetic,
Yeah, it could mean whatever. Take it how you want.
Yeah.
Oh,
cool. Yeah. So look it up, ghostlycalm.com and ghostlycalm on Instagram. I'm going to like it right now.
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it should be fun, following your adventures.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
It's probably going to be cool. Like I imagine, you know, you'll run into, hopefully not literally, but run into other people doing around the world journeys, whether it's by bike or whatever. That I can imagine that'd be kind of cool, right? Like,
Yeah, that's I know for sure I'll definitely run into people touring in Europe, and yeah, just be excited to see what people have, like where they're going, and again, another WhatsApp's an insane resource. There's there's cycle touring group like chats for groups of like Europe, Asia, and it's like, so you know, I already know so many people are out there just doing stuff. So
Yeah, you mentioned warm showers earlier, and I've there's like there are vloggers or YouTube personalities that I follow who use a lot of that take advantage of that warm showers program. It's always pretty, like some of those places are really cool. Some of the places they stay, it's not always like it's not some like dumpy apartment. Like in some cases, they're really well-traveled people who are just, they love having travelers over. They like having people coming through. Yeah. And sometimes like some of the places that they're staying are just like, it looks like a luxury villa or, some beautiful house on a hill, and some architect and his artist wife are hosting like this, these people. So, I mean, I think the people that the people that you're going to meet along the way that's just super cool.
I think that's like, I'm looking forward to just those experiences, like of meeting, I don't know, people doing like-minded people that are just like willing to go out and be uncomfortable and see things. And it's like, it's a beautiful thing.
My wife did the Camino de Santiago in Spain. She walked it.
Okay, nice.
She did that. She did the month-long walk. And she met a lot of people that were, you do certain legs of the trip with people, you'd like team up for a little bit, maybe they do 2 or 3, you just keep running into each other on the road, and some people would stay, so you'd fall in with another group. And I imagine that with cross country, with around the world touring like that you might for a little time find yourself riding with 2 or 3 people for a while, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think that would be ideal.
Did you do that when you rode across the country? Did you ever have any experiences like that?
No, I only because it was June 2020, so the pandemic was still going on.
Yeah,
I ran into 2 other dudes on their bike, but it was like one of them was like a busy road, and we're just kind of yelling across each other from the wind, like going opposite directions. And then it's the other guy. Yeah, he was just an old timer, and I think he said, I forgot where he was going. I think he was going from Colorado to Florida, and he's like, this is my 3rd time doing it. He's just like traveling back for the season or something. And I was like, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I had a German guy who used to fly in. He'd fly in from Germany every 2 years, and he'd start a trip here in Chicago to somewhere in the United States, And the last time he was here, it was before COVID. I've kind of lost track of him in the last few years. But he started here and he went to Alaska. That was the last ride that. Legit. Yeah. We met him on a ride. He was doing California to Chicago, which, for him was nothing. But he was kind of a world traveler, we asked him about his, some of his adventures, and he's like, he loved America. He loved the United States. He loved the openness of the United States, just like the vast,
plains and the desert,
just nothing.
Yeah.
The fact that you could ride for 2 days and not see a person. Yeah. And Europe was like the opposite, right? It's just people everywhere and dense.
It's a little crowded.
Mm-hmm. But he had kind of broken English, and he's like, yes, my house driveway. I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, make right. Mm-hmm. Water left. I'm like, yeah. Africa. I'm like, what? And we had to piece it together. But yeah, he just went to. One day he just rode out of his house, no maps, no nothing. It was like, out his driveway.
Wanderlust.
As long as the water was to his left and, he was going in the right direction, it was like, he went all the way to Africa from Germany. I was like, wow, that's man. Amazing. Yeah.
So not to harp on that idea of like planning the routes and all that, but Are you like? Do you have a sense of like? I'm sure you'll play it by ear to some extent, but do you have a sense of like? Every day you want to do a certain range of distance, like miles, or like do you want to ride as much as you can? Are you just going to kind of go more chill, or what are you thinking at this point?
I know on my other 2 longer trips, I know I did it too much. Like when I went around Lake Michigan, I was doing like 100 miles a day. And it's like, I feel like that's too much. So I'm definitely going to try to maybe cut that in half. And, I guess that's all too dependent on what's coming up and like what's available and where I'm staying and stuff or planning on staying. But, yeah, I really want to go slower. And, but I don't know. Sometimes I get that feeling where I just want to use my energy and just keep going. So yeah, that's all up in the air. And well, I guess some of it's visa or like dependent. Like again, I have 90 days in most of Europe, so it's like once it gets closer to a certain time, I probably have to go faster and stuff like that.
I imagine that weather's going to play a huge part in it too, right?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So you just monitor that and understand when storms are coming in.
Yeah,
it's going to be raining, and want to.
Yeah, you can't. So it's really hard to plan because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If there's a problem with the bike or, yeah, like you said, it's horrible weather.
Do you like riding in shitty weather, or are you the kind of guy who would ride in like in rain, or you just park it for a little bit and wait it out?
Yeah.
Well, out of necessity for sure.
I was a courier the past 2 years in Chicago, so I got used to just being out, and the 2 winters were pretty gnarly. So I could ride through anything.
Yeah. That's our compressor here in the shop. Just went out. Just.
That always scares the shit out of me. I'm not used to it. I'm like, what is that?
Legit noise. Legit bike shop noises.
That keeps it real,
Yep. And Tom. In the meantime,
meanwhile, Tom is working his ass off.
He's been working it. Yeah. Look at that. He's truing wheels right now.
And you're getting the full treatment here. This thing's gonna be rocking and rolling.
Well,
you'll probably be a couple of miles an hour faster.
I even pulled the pulley wheels off of the derailleur and overhauled them.
Yeah, right.
Nice. That's very pro. That's pro.
So you're going Wednesday to. You fly to Scotland on Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so overnight flight. You're going to stay in Edinburgh. Are you going to start doing some riding, or are you just going to chill in Edinburgh and see what's all up with that?
I got a hostel for 3 nights just to kind of get acclimated, make sure my bike's put back together good, and just see some stuff. And maybe I'll stay a few more days. And but yeah, 3 nights for sure, and then start moving.
We I guess in the front.
The front one, yeah, we're going to change the front
bald.
tire. I think there was a question from the mechanic.
This is random as hell, but I was just working on something earlier today at work, and we were talking about there's this new, like, very fancy, modern-looking building in Edinburgh that is completed or is in the process of being built. But I guess it looks like a poop emoji. It's a bronze-looking, like, spirally thing. Uh-huh. And like the Guardian article or wherever I read it was hilarious. The headline was like, "Wait a minute, doesn't this look like So I don't know. Maybe you can see that. I guess it comes up in the big Edinburgh, like the famous skyline, along next to like a famous cathedral. So there you go. Check it out. Yeah. But that's cool. Were you a big Train Spotting fan, by the way?
I saw it. No, I wouldn't say a big fan.
All right. I'm a big fan, so.
Yeah. No, the movie?
Yeah. Ewan McGregor.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah. Don't do drugs unless it's.
With us.
Yeah, with us. And you have extra.
Don't do bad drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, do good drugs and do them smart.
What you guys want to take a break for a second? We'll get something to drink and we can pick this up. And, check in on Tom a little bit and stop grilling Tony so much.
Hello, I'm Katie Lonke. You're listening to the Bills Shop Society podcast.
So, back from a little bit of a break, we have we finished tuning up a bike and let's talk to the mechanic. What did you do, mechanic Tom?
Well, I did. I changed out the brake lever hoods, which meant disassembling all the controls on the handlebars. So I had to take off the shifters to get the brake levers off to get the new hoods on. Then we threw some new tape on there. I saw that the pulley wheels on the rear derailleur were kind of gummy and sounded a little gnarly, so I pulled those apart, cleaned them up, put some fresh grease in there. Other than that, not much. It was in pretty good shape.
Awesome. Well, he takes care of his bike. That's good.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, Tony, man. Like I said, use the bike, treat it well. I hope it takes you to a lot of really interesting places. Danny, you got anything to say to
just
Tony?
best of luck, man. You look like you're ready to crush it. So
Yeah,
get out and do it. We'll be rooting for you.
He's an early to bed and early to rise kind of guy. And we've already kept him here way longer than.
He's going to do more by 10 a.m. than we're going to do all day.
Yeah, I know. And
He's
he's about to ride around the world. We're trying to score a pizza.
like a bunch of schmucks.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, man. Good luck. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be in touch.
Best of luck.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be tracking you. All right. Take care. Yeah.